Hello, my little love. Did you have a good day today? I hope something made you smile. Now take a slow breath, relax your shoulders, and let your mind get soft and quiet. It's time for a gentle bedtime story. Once upon a time, in a peaceful village nestled between gentle hills and whispering pine trees, there lived a kind grandmother. Her house was small and cozy, with a thatched roof that kept her warm in winter and cool in summer. Smoke would curl lazily from her chimney, carrying the sweet smell of whatever she was cooking that day. The grandmother lived alone, but she was never lonely. Birds would perch on her windowsill to sing morning songs to her, and butterflies would dance around her small garden, where she grew vegetables and bright flowers that nodded in the breeze. She had a gentle smile and soft hands that had worked hard for many years, and everyone in the village loved her dearly. One autumn day, when the leaves were turning shades of amber and gold, the grandmother decided to make red bean porridge. She gathered her ingredients slowly and carefully: sweet red beans that she had dried in the summer sun, rice that was white as clouds, and fresh water from the clear stream that ran behind her house. She lit a fire in her hearth, and the flames danced warmly, casting peaceful shadows on the walls. The grandmother hummed a gentle tune as she stirred the porridge in her big iron pot. The smell was wonderful, sweet and earthy and comforting, like a warm hug on a cool day. As the porridge bubbled softly, making little gloop gloop sounds, the grandmother heard something outside. At first, she thought it might be the wind rustling through the dry leaves. But then she heard it again, a low, rumbling sound that made her pause and listen carefully. A tiger had wandered down from the mountains. Now, this tiger wasn't mean or cruel, but he was very, very hungry, and the delicious smell of the red bean porridge had reached his nose even from far away. He came closer to the grandmother's house, moving slowly through the golden afternoon light. The grandmother, being wise and thoughtful, understood that the tiger was simply hungry and had followed the good smell. She wasn't frightened, but she did feel a flutter of concern. She spoke through her window in a calm, steady voice. "Dear tiger," she said gently, "I'm making red bean porridge, but it isn't quite ready yet. Would you be willing to wait until the winter solstice? On that day, I promise to make extra porridge, enough to share." The tiger, sitting outside in the fallen leaves, thought about this. The winter solstice was still many days away, but the grandmother's voice was so kind and sincere that he believed her promise. He nodded his great head slowly and padded away into the forest, deciding to wait as she had asked. The grandmother watched him go, his striped coat disappearing between the trees like sunset filtering through branches. She felt relieved but also a bit worried. The winter solstice would come, and she wanted to keep her promise, but she wasn't sure how to prepare for the tiger's visit. Days passed like leaves floating down a gentle stream. The air grew cooler, and morning frost began to sparkle on the grass like scattered diamonds. The grandmother went about her daily tasks, tending her garden, gathering firewood, mending her clothes by the warm fire. But in the back of her mind, she thought about the tiger and her promise. Finally, the day of the winter solstice arrived. It was the shortest day of the year, when darkness stayed longest and the world felt quiet and still, waiting for light to return. The grandmother woke early and began preparing the red bean porridge, just as she had promised. As she worked, stirring the pot and adding ingredients with careful attention, she began to feel worried. She had made a promise, and she always kept her promises. But she wondered if the tiger would be satisfied with just porridge, or if he might still be too hungry. Just then, as the morning light grew stronger, something wonderful happened. One by one, helpers began to arrive at her door. First came a small chestnut, rolling along the ground and hopping onto her doorstep. "Grandmother," said the chestnut in a tiny, cheerful voice, "I heard about your promise to the tiger. May I help you? I may be small, but I am very brave." Before the grandmother could answer, more helpers appeared. A lump of cow dung came tumbling along, humble but willing. An A-frame carrier, the kind used to carry heavy loads, leaned itself against the wall. A sturdy rope coiled up near the door. A stone pestle used for grinding grain positioned itself nearby. Even the mortar and a jar of soybean paste joined the gathering. The grandmother was amazed. "You all want to help me?" she asked softly, her eyes growing misty with gratitude. "Of course," they all replied in their various voices, some deep, some high, some barely more than whispers. "You are kind to everyone, grandmother. You never waste anything, you treat all things with respect, and you keep your promises. Now we will help keep you safe." Together, they made a gentle plan. Each helper would hide in a different spot around the house, and when the tiger arrived, they would work together to persuade him to go back to the mountains peacefully, with a full belly and no reason to worry the kind grandmother. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of soft pink and purple, the tiger arrived. He had remembered the promise, and the smell of fresh red bean porridge made his stomach rumble with anticipation. He approached the house slowly, his paws making soft padding sounds on the frozen ground. "Grandmother," he called out in his deep, rumbly voice, "I have come for the porridge you promised." "Yes, yes," said the grandmother kindly, bringing out a large bowl of steaming red bean porridge. "I have kept my promise. Please, eat and be satisfied." The tiger began to eat, and the porridge was delicious, sweet and warm and filling. As he ate, the little helpers watched from their hiding places, ready to act if needed, but hoping the tiger would simply eat his fill and leave peacefully. When the tiger finished eating, he did feel much better. His stomach was full and warm, and he realized that the grandmother had indeed kept her promise, just as she said she would. He felt grateful and a little bit sorry for having worried her at all. But just to make sure the tiger truly understood that the grandmother should be left in peace, the little helpers decided to gently remind him. The chestnut rolled near the fire and popped loudly, startling the tiger with its sudden noise. The rope swayed gently, as if to show it could tangle things up if needed. The pestle and mortar rattled softly, and the A-frame carrier creaked as if stretching its wooden arms. The tiger understood. These weren't threats, they were gentle reminders from the grandmother's loyal friends that she was protected and cared for. He felt respect for the grandmother, who had such devoted helpers, and who had been kind enough to feed him even though she had been worried. "Thank you, grandmother," the tiger said in a much softer voice than before. "The porridge was wonderful. I will return to the mountains now and remember your kindness. I promise never to trouble you again." And with that, the tiger bowed his great head respectfully and walked slowly back toward the mountains. His striped coat caught the last rays of sunset, and soon he disappeared into the forest, leaving only paw prints in the snow that would melt away by morning. The grandmother stood in her doorway, watching him go, and she felt her heart fill with peace. All her little helpers gathered around her, and she thanked each one with gentle pats and kind words. "You are all so brave and loyal," she said warmly. "Thank you for helping me today." From that day forward, the grandmother lived peacefully in her cozy house. The tiger kept his promise and stayed in the mountains, where he found plenty to eat and never felt the need to trouble anyone again. Sometimes, on clear nights, the grandmother would look toward the mountains and think of the tiger, hoping he was well and happy. The village learned about what had happened, and everyone marveled at how the grandmother's kindness had been repaid by the loyalty of everyday things: a chestnut, a rope, a pestle, things that might seem ordinary but had proven to be extraordinary friends when she needed them most. The grandmother continued to make red bean porridge every winter solstice, and she would always set out an extra bowl, not because she expected the tiger to return, but because it reminded her of the importance of keeping promises, treating everyone with kindness, and recognizing that help can come from the most unexpected places. Winter passed and spring returned, bringing with it fresh green leaves and the sound of birds singing in the morning. The grandmother's garden bloomed again, and butterflies returned to dance among the flowers. Life continued its gentle rhythm, peaceful and good. And sometimes, very rarely, on quiet winter evenings when snow fell softly outside, the grandmother would see tiger tracks in the distance, not coming toward her house, but passing by peacefully, as if the tiger was simply checking to make sure she was well and safe. And the grandmother would smile, knowing that even wild things can learn kindness, and that promises kept create bonds of respect that last forever. The little helpers remained with the grandmother, the chestnut in a bowl on the shelf, the rope hanging by the door, the pestle and mortar ready for grinding grain. They were just ordinary objects again, but the grandmother knew they were special. And she treated them with extra care and gratitude, because they had been her friends when she needed them most. And so the grandmother lived happily, surrounded by the gentle magic of everyday kindness. The warmth of a good fire, the comfort of delicious red bean porridge on winter nights, and the knowledge that promises kept and kindness shared always find their way back to bless the giver. You did well today, my little love. Now let your eyes grow heavy, and let the night wrap around you like a soft blanket. Sleep well, sweet dreams, and rest deeply.